Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of the Block Thrasher Daily Crypto Update, bringing you the hottest cryptocurrency news, sorting through the garbage and bringing what is relevant to you. You know, it's interesting. There is a lot of crypto news that hits the crypto news sites that just isn't very important at all. It's a lot of bad reporting in the crypto space. Let's just put it that way. Non-essential information. That's sort of like, huh? What? Or just poor analysis or poor reporting with facts that are incorrect. So every day I do my best to scour through all of that and bring to you the most relevant, most important, hottest news items of the day. And then we talk about that. We use those news items as a launch pad to dive a little bit deeper, to bring some analysis, some commentary, and hopefully some good education for you along the way so that we can help simplify. That's what I want to do. I want to make crypto as simple and easy to understand, and also just keep you updated on the most important news items of the day. Right now, the cryptocurrency market is very terpsichorean, especially in regard to the Bitcoin price. It is dancing all around 40,000 currently at the moment. That is our word of the day, terpsichorean. It is a very unusual word. I would guess that most people have probably never heard this one before. Terpsichorean, Terpsichorean, and it means something pertaining to dancing. So here would be another example. Never has a dance been so much discussed, defended, and denounced as has the tango, the extraordinary terpsichorean craze, which has swept over the whole of Europe and the United States. Another would be, they're quiet enough in the morning hours. They're quiet enough in the afternoon, reserving their terpsichorean powers to dance by the light of the Gelsal moon. Terpsichorean. That's another good one. All right, let's jump over. And hey, before we do that, for those of you who are watching on the video, you could see this meme, which I thought was funny, so I wanted to share it. I'm going to try to bring a little bit more of humor into the podcast. I've even thought about doing just a whole other channel, crypto comedy, eventually. Maybe someday we'll do that at some point. But anyway, this meme, I'm going to describe it for those who can't see it. For you who are in video, you can see it, obviously, but there's these two cartoon characters, and the one guy walks up to the other and he says, "Hi, my name is Jason." And he says, "Nice to meet you, Jason." And then below it, there's a picture. There's like 4 squares. And the picture below that has a picture of his head. And crammed inside his head are these boxes that represent everything he thinks about. And there's friends, which is a green box, and it's relatively small. It probably takes up like 2-3% of the brain capacity in the head. And then family is a red box, not the same. And then there's this big, huge orange box that's like 90% of the brain capacity, and it says cryptocurrency on it. And so he's trying to stuff the guy that he met just now, his name, Jason, into his head. But it can't quite get in because it's already full with friends and family and mostly cryptocurrency. So then he says to the guy, "Say, Jarvis, want to hear about magic internet money?" The look on the cartoon character's face is like, "My name's not Jarvis. My name's Jason." Yeah, that can definitely happen. When you get hooked on crypto, it can be a little bit consuming, can't it? Because it can't be so exciting. There's so much going on within the space. And obviously, if you've been in it for a long time, it has a big place in your mind because of the life transforming increase in value and what that can do for you, right? So, excuse me for one moment as I grab a sip of this delicious coffee. I hope you got your day off to a good start. It is Tuesday, June 15th, 8:21. I hope you've already hit your coffee or whatever it is you do for your morning routine. Tell you what, something's going on with the weather and everything else that's going on. It's been difficult for me to get up early the last couple of days. A little bit more of a battle. Still making that happen. That's so much work to be done as well. All right, jump into the cryptocurrency market. What is happening there? What's happened overnight? Well, the cryptocurrency space has seen another increase in the total market cap, up 2.4%, We are now at $1.731 trillion. Yes. Good to see that going in the right direction. I like seeing that up arrow and green. I'm sure you agree. Bitcoin dominance is currently at 43.6%. ETH's dominance has dropped a bit. I guess we wouldn't call it ETH's dominance because it's not dominating. It's more like its share of the total market dominance would be at 17.4%. It's interesting. If you combine the two, Bitcoin and ETH are now at about 50% of the total market. ETH gas prices are low, at least at the moment. Wow. 14 GWAY for standard. That's incredible. Remember at the height of this bull market, we saw gas prices that hit as high as 400. And they were around 150, 200, 250 for quite a long time. So looking at the prices, the last 24 hours, we're seeing some red here. And the same in the last hour, except for Polkadot, which is the standout currently, up 7.4% in the last 24 hours to 24.33. Everything else is red. Now we're still in the green on the week, pretty much across the board, except for Dogecoin and Uniswap in the top 10. Dogecoin not faring very well this week at all. Not a lot of downward movement, though. It's only down 2.5% on the week. Bitcoin saw a good week, up 20.5%, now $40,199. Still holding above the $40,000 mark, which is good to see. It's good to see, especially since the rest of the market continues to follow Bitcoin. We have not entered into decorrelation, not as of yet. One day, it will probably take a flippening for that to happen. And I think that could be a really good thing. Each of these projects should be valued based upon its own performance, its own community, and what it's doing, rather than moving in tandem with or correlated with Bitcoin. But that has not really happened as of yet. So Binance Coin is coming in at number 4 currently, $369.39. Cardano comes in at number 5, right underneath Binance Coin. Also up on the week 1.8%, but it is currently $1.57. And then we have Dogecoin in 6th place at 32 cents. XRP is at 87 cents. XRP has struggled to get back to a dollar. Currently number 7 in market cap. Polkadot is at number 8. It has climbed up a bit in recent days. 24.33 as we mentioned earlier, and then Uniswap rounding up the top 10 at 28.83. Now, you know what's crazy about this is if you look at the next block of coins in terms of market cap from number 11 to 15, they're still up in the last 24 hours. Bitcoin Cash up just 0.4%, but still in the green at $626. Litecoin up 0.7 to 175. Chainlink up 4.2% to 25.38. And Solana up 3.9% to $40.39. Now, Solana is still not yet in the top 10, but in the top 15. My expectation for Solana would be that it might hit the top 10 someday. I'm not going to make a prediction on that, but it could definitely happen. Such a solid project and so many things happening on that ecosystem. Polygon having a really great week as well. And Polygon is probably largely responsible for these really low gas prices that we've been seeing with Ethereum lately, as a lot of the Ethereum transactions move to the Polygon chain and off the Ethereum network. So it is up 14.7% in the last 7 days, up 8.6% in the last 24 hours to $1.69. All right. Well, how are people responding to this current Terpsichorean dancing around all over the place, volatile market? We've been talking about it as a roller coaster, up, down. How are people responding? According to this research, crypto investors are unshaken by the recent market sell-off, despite the recent crypto sell-off, which wiped out a significant portion of the total market cap. Buyers are invested in investing. According to a survey conducted by Voyager Digital, a crypto asset broker, almost 90% of participants plan to invest in more digital currencies during the next quarter. The survey included responses from 3,671 individuals at the end of last month while Bitcoin prices plunged. So they conducted this survey while the prices were plunging, the worst possible moment. The May market crash came alongside a flurry of international news surrounding China's ever-increasing crackdown on crypto usage and trades. Along with China, the U.S. tightened the grip on cryptocurrencies as tax season approached. Market volatility also coincided with more decisions from major companies to drop crypto as payment due to environmental concerns, which is really mostly just Tesla. The uncertainty resulted in a loss of nearly 43% in crypto market valuation in the span of just 2 weeks. That's not necessarily true either. If you were holding the right altcoins, you avoided that, largely avoided that. Anyway, nonetheless, 7 out of 10 investors surveyed remained bullish when asked about the price of Bitcoin in the coming quarter. The predictions of at least 39% of the surveyed placed Bitcoin's price in the 50 to 70,000 range near the end of the third quarter. At the time of press, Bitcoin pumped to a local high above 41,000 and shows a solid support level at 38. Voyager CEO Steve Eldridge called the bullish attitude of investors after such a massive sell-off encouraging to the future of crypto. Survey also prodded investors on their altcoin confidence and found an extremely bullish outlook on Cardano, followed by Dogecoin. This comes on the heels of Cardano's meteoric rise in price over the past year. Last month, Cardano released plans throughout the continent of Africa to widen accessibility to blockchain technology, which included a partnership with the Ethiopian government. In addition, the utilization of the proof-of-stake concepts gives Cardano a greener edge in the mindset of the industry environmental concerns. Another recent survey conducted by CNBC found that almost half of millennial millionaires have up to a quarter of their wealth stored in crypto assets. Yeah, because that's probably what made them millionaires. Younger investors remain bullish on the long-term trajectory of not only Bitcoin and altcoins, but other developments within the space, such as non-fungible tokens, NFT. As crypto continues to penetrate mainstream markets and media, only time will tell if investors' bullish sentiment becomes a reality. Now, that's a little bit interesting, this concept here between the younger generation and the older generation and what impact that might have. And once one can sort of understand why some of the older generation would be apprehensive towards Bitcoin, towards crypto, because they worked so many years of their lives to earn this fiat currency, which was the dollar. And for a good portion of their lives, the dollar was actually harder money, much, much harder than it is today, because it was backed by gold. It was backed by gold is not even really the right term, because for most of their lives, it was not backed by gold from the sense that they could go, and there was a time where you could go and you could convert your dollars to gold, but that came to an end. And then it was just limited, so restrained. There was restraint, at least, on the supply, right? But for most adults' lives now, ever since 1981, that has not been the case. And so all of this wealth that they earned, that they've stored up, and that is in dollar-denominated assets, it pushes them to want to maintain that system, that status quo, and then there's just also the issue of the difficulty of accepting something new that might be a little elusive and hard to understand for people in that generation. However, that said, we do see many people coming on board, whether it be Michael Saylor with MicroStrategy, whether it be Paul Tudor Jones and other notable billionaires and investors. It seems like every month there's another that starts to talk very positively about the cryptocurrency space. And going back to the subject at hand in this article about Cardano and the sentiment that these surveyed people had towards it, there is more news coming out about Cardano, which is good which is that Cardano has launched the Alonso testnet, and the first successful test of a smart contract has ran on that testnet. And so we are seeing headway made as we move forward in the direction toward the complete and full launch of smart contracts on the Cardano ecosystem. And when that happens, we are going to see a whole bunch of projects launch that are already gearing up, working on their code, testing their code. Good stuff happening there. All right. This was also some analysis that I think can give us reason to think positively and bullish about the cryptocurrency space. 4 reasons to be bullish as Bitcoin breaks back above 40K. And there were some good takeaways here that I thought we could think about, talk about. With Bitcoin's price regaining traction and heading towards 40,000, slightly above now, it's worth reviewing 5 reasons why you should be more bullish. Although Bitcoin has already added $10,000 of value in a week, it went from 30,000 to 40,000. Some on-chain features suggest even more bullish developments awaiting right around the corner, from the stablecoin ratio to increasing active addresses to corporations buying and holders still holding. So here are the 4 reasons. Number 1, Bitcoin to stablecoin ratio. According to data from CryptoQuant, the Bitcoin to stablecoin ratio oscillator has gone into bullish territory. This metric highlights the ratio of the number of Bitcoins to stablecoins stored on exchanges. So that's good. Reason number 2, the bottom is in. Jurian Timmer, the director of global macro at Fidelity Investments, also opined about Bitcoin's recent price developments. In fact, he believes the massive price slump toward 30,000 was actually the bottom, and this could be debated. He came to this conclusion by comparing the Bitcoin to USD chart with the GS retail favorites baskets. History shows that the correlation between the two has been relatively high, suggesting that Bitcoin could indeed mimic the basket's performance. Now, this is some technical analysis, and you'll notice the language that is used, suggesting, could, right? So, but that said, it still is some bullish analysis there. Corporations, number 3, corporations keep buying, and there's institutional praise out there. And just yesterday, we saw that MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor's company, has raised another round of funding to go and purchase more. And there's something that we're going to look at here in a second here, because Peter Schiff is speaking out about it. While some reports suggest that short-term investors had sold off their Bitcoin holdings during the recent crash, others have only doubled down, such as the case with MicroStrategy. And this is what I really wanted to talk about, and why this is some good analysis here in this article, but the data that they are reporting here also illustrates something that we've been talking about a lot, which is the fact that short-term investors, investors that are early to the market, are the ones that sold off their Bitcoin holdings during the recent crash. And most likely, many of those got wrecked, because if they're a short-term holder, they came in and bought at the high, and now they're selling at the low. But the long-term holders and others, such as MicroStrategy, are not doing that. Michael Saylor's NASDAQ-listed business intelligence giant plans to allocate another $1 billion in the primary cryptocurrency after a new stock offering. The executive, who became among the most prominent Bitcoin bulls in the past year, took to Twitter to advise those who plan to save 5% of their portfolios in the asset that the remaining 95% will be demonetized by Bitcoin. And of course, as they note here, he was referring to Paul Tudor Jones 3, the prominent hedge fund manager who outlined Bitcoin's benefit over a year ago and who recently said that he wants to allocate up to 5% of his portfolio into Bitcoin. Number 4, hodlers keep on hodling. In its weekly review on the market, Glassnode touched upon the role of so-called hodlers, investors who have purchased their assets before a specific date and refuse to sell or even trade them. In this case, the analytics firm looked at long-term holders who include all buyers of coins prior to January 10th, 2021. Glassnode's chart shows that a very large volume of coins were purchased in the early bull market and have remained largely unspent. The current rate of maturation is over 400K Bitcoin a month, which is much larger than the 160K Bitcoin we estimated were sold, mostly by short-term holders during the May capitulation event. So what's going on here is that the hodlers, and which are actually investors, are just sucking the money away and out from the traders and the short-term holders who are trying to buy and sell and coming in. And it's something we talk about here often. There's a lot of reasons. Even the tax implications make it much, much more profitable to just buy and hold for a year or 2 or 4 and watch that bag just grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. So we were talking here about Microsaylor and what's going on, and obviously there's these 2 characters within the cryptocurrency space. I don't know if I'd say within the cryptocurrency space. Let's dial that back a little bit. Peter Schiff and Michael Saylor, right? They're 2 of the most outspoken and well-known characters that are often come in and that can't seem to be what's the word I'm looking for. They get inserted into the cryptocurrency news cycle frequently. So they both share the same attitude, the same philosophy, be a better word. They both share the same philosophy toward the US dollar, towards the Federal Reserve and the fiat currency system. They both share the same views toward the problem of inflation that they believe will be caused by the out of control, massive spending of the government and increasing of the monetary base by printing, and increasing of the monetary base through other means like quantitative easing and bailouts and stimulus and all this sorts of thing, right? However, where they differ significantly is that Michael Saylor is one of the most outspoken advocates of Bitcoin, and not just through his speech, also through his action, as he continues to purchase massive amounts of Bitcoin through his company MicroStrategy. Peter Schiff, on the other hand, is a longtime gold bug who always has something negative to say about Bitcoin. And while his son has transferred over to the dark side and believes in crypto, Peter Schiff still has not yet capitulated and come to the party. And so he's saying to Michael Saylor, look, you already have more than enough Bitcoin. Michael Saylor's initiative to continue buying more and more Bitcoin makes no sense, argued the full-time Bitcoin basher, Peter Schiff, following the latest development coming from MicroStrategy, in which the company outlined plans to allocate another $1 billion in the asset. The prominent economist, Schiff, called Saylor, quote, truly insane. We'll see. It's funny. Maybe Peter Schiff is a little upset because Michael Saylor, what do they hold? What is his company doesn't even hold 1% of the Bitcoin supply yet, because they're just about to approach 100,000 Bitcoin, I think, or something like that. However, Saylor can help prop up the market. These are large enough buys that they do a number of things. They have an actual technical implication in that when they're buying, it's helping keep the price of Bitcoin up and the market stable. But it also has an impact on other people's sentiment as they see, oh, wow, you've got this individual and this company and all of the investors that are actually putting money in, because that's the way this is working here, right? Through MicroStrategy, they're selling corporate bonds that are then being invested into Bitcoin. So it just shows that there's institutional investment that continues to come into the space, which causes maturation in the space, but also just causes sentiment to rise across the space with retail investors and everybody else. And with gold, Peter Schiff's space, it's much, much more difficult to do that. And the price of gold is much more easily manipulated by governments and by the markets and the big players out in the markets and the futures exchanges, etc. So I can only imagine that it's pretty frustrating from that standpoint. So Schiff says to Saylor that he's insane. Back to the story. If you have followed the cryptocurrency markets even vaguely in the past year, two names should be popping out as the most vocal commentators. On the one side of the naysayers stands the popular economist and gold bug Peter Schiff. On the side of the proponents sits the founder and CEO of MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor. The two have engaged in quite a few verbal confrontations on the differences of opinion on Bitcoin. The latest one came out yesterday after Saylor's software giant revealed plans to initiate a new securities offering to raise $1 billion. The firm intends to allocate this considerable amount into Bitcoin, as it has done in the past. This is where the Bitcoin critic stepped up. In his opinion, such actions have made Saylor truly insane. Schiff believes MicroStrategy already has more than enough exposure to Bitcoin, and if the asset turns out to be as successful as Saylor hopes, he would have made all his shareholders rich. They're probably already rich. Schiff further alleged Saylor is buying more Bitcoin only to keep Bitcoin from crashing instead of actually doing something positive for shareholders and investors. Oh, man. What has MicroStrategy done? With Schiff claiming that MicroStrategy already has plenty of Bitcoins in its stack, it's worth reviewing how big that stash is and what have the company and its leaders done for the community. Although it became evident to the public that MicroStrategy bought Bitcoin in August, the origin of the story can actually be found a few months earlier, as Saylor revealed during the recent Bitcoin conference in Miami. He started educating himself on the asset's qualities after the COVID-19 pandemic infiltrated the Western world in early 2020. His personal first purchase transpired on June 3rd that year. His firm, though, kept on accumulating after August and currently holds over 90,000 coins. Should the company proceed with raising $1 billion and putting it in Bitcoin again, its stack could go well beyond 100,000. Separately, the firm held a Bitcoin conference for corporations, became a node on the Bitcoin network, and started paying non-employee directors in the primary cryptocurrency instead of cash. Saylor also released an educational panel on Bitcoin aimed at retail investors and has openly praised the assets of all traditional media outlets he has attended. And all of this transpired within a year. Some of the things that they're not mentioning that he's also done is he brought together into a meeting Elon Musk and some of the biggest miners of Bitcoin in the United States to discuss how they might produce better data on the environmental impact of Bitcoin and its energy usage, and B, work toward making it as environmentally friendly as possible. But it's fascinating that Michael Saylor really is relatively new to the space, just starting to educate himself about Bitcoin after COVID hit not that long ago, and only recently starting to purchase Bitcoin and add Bitcoin to the balance sheet. It has had some significant impact, though, for sure. And I believe will continue to have such an impact as long as he continues in this trajectory. All right, Taproot has been approved by the Bitcoin community. What will it do? I thought this was a good explanation of Taproot, and so this would be an education segment. Taproot will bring DeFi to Bitcoin. Taproot, the first update to the Bitcoin protocol in 4 years, will provide better privacy and security to the leading blockchain. Crucially, it will also improve smart contract efficiency. So what is Taproot? Bitcoin's highly anticipated Taproot update was accepted by more than 90% of the blockchain's mining hash rate over the weekend, signaling that the majority of the community, or at least the mining community, is ready to implement the change to the protocol. Taproot is Bitcoin's first update in 4 years following the divisive SegWit update that spawned Bitcoin Cash. Although Binance showed some resistance to Taproot, it now seems to have gained approval across the Bitcoin community. Taproot was locked in at block 687285 to celebrations across social media. Slushpool, one of Bitcoin's leading main pools, mined the block Saturday. To understand the benefits of Taproot, it's necessary to have an understanding of how on-chain transactions work. In essence, a public address produces a cryptographic proof that it has all the proper permissions to make a transaction. To do so, it uses its private key to provide a unique signature and prove that the transaction is truly coming from the user. The cryptographic proof gets stored on the blockchain, which explains why we can trace every Bitcoin transaction. By deciphering the cryptographic proofs in each block, anyone can follow transactions between addresses and identify the sender and receiver from their public keys. Smart contracts are interactions between many addresses that allow more complex transactions to take place. While smart contracts are most frequently associated with Ethereum, they can also be created on the Bitcoin network. Smart contracts are made of code that dictates the terms of each transaction and can include many different users. In the Bitcoin network's current form, smart contracts require an immense amount of space to be stored on the blockchain, as transaction fees are a function of the amount of space a transaction wants to occupy in a block. Creating smart contracts on Bitcoin is very expensive. This is because such complex transactions have to link all public keys associated with any smart contracts, making the kind of DeFi projects found on Ethereum completely impossible. Taproot will combine the public keys of the users participating in smart contract and creates a new public key that can then create a unique signature, which is only possible for that particular combination of addresses. These digital signatures are called Schnorr signatures, invented by the German mathematician Klaus Schnorr in the 1970s. These signatures have two advantages over their previous implementations. First, they hide individuals' users' public keys in a smart contract, meaning only the unique combined public key is visible on the blockchain. Second, they drastically reduce the amount of space required in any block to create complex smart contracts. Notably, a smaller signature requires lower fees, something that many Bitcoin users would likely welcome. The cost of using the network hit new highs in April as the price of the asset surged. So effectively, what Taproot will do is it will make complex Bitcoin, complex smart contract interactions look like simple payments between two public keys. The ability to run smart contracts potentially paves the way for Bitcoin to run similar DeFi activities to those found on Ethereum. These changes will also apply to the Lightning Network, which might be the best place for smart contracts to live on the Bitcoin network. Taproot is scheduled to launch in November 2021. Very, very cool. Good stuff. This is going to be exciting. In our last segment of the day, we're just going to talk really quickly about this interesting development from these former PayPal employees who've launched a decentralized cross-border payment network on Algorand. And this is interesting for two reasons. Number one, what they are attempting to do is very similar to what XRP does, except for much better. And number two, it's on the Algorand network, which means that it's going to be incredibly efficient and cost-effective. Fueling cross-border transactions with regulated stablecoins to represent fiat on-chain has never been done before, said Borderless Capital CEO David Garcia. Interesting. So here's the story. Two former PayPal workers in business and technology have launched a cross-border payment system aimed at a faster, cheaper, and more transparent payments. In an announcement today, fintech infrastructure firm 6 Clovers said it has launched its Rapid network, connecting banks, merchants, and payment providers, allowing clients to transact in digital currencies and fiat. Founded by former PayPal employees Jim Nugan and Nas Kavin, and backed by venture capital firm Borderless Capital, the network is built on the Algorand blockchain and employs the technology behind stablecoins to represent fiat. Quote, 6 Clovers is creating a bridge between traditional and decentralized finance, expanding access to the next generation of digital products and services, said Algorand CEO Steve Kokonas. The project claims its network will offer an alternative for payment providers currently using the SWIFT protocol for cross-border payments. Rapid uses USDC to represent fiat on the Algorand blockchain, provides P2P transactions, and can reportedly handle up to 46,000 transactions per second. This is huge. This is big stuff. 46,000 transactions per second is super fast. Is awesome. All thanks to the Algorand protocol and blockchain. It provides peer-to-peer and it uses the USDC coin. Now, if you're not familiar with this thing, SWIFT, it's something that is fascinating that you should be familiar with. If I recall correctly, because SWIFT is an acronym for the Society for Worldwide International Financial Transactions. Yes, that's what it is. Society. I probably should verify that. I'm just going to. SWIFT Financial System. There we go. How the SWIFT system works. Investopedia. Investopedia is a good resource for you. SWIFT for electronic funds transfer. And you know, it's interesting because one of the things that this makes this fascinating is, as I've been mentioning to the audience a number of times of late, as we've talked about the IMF and the World Bank and the big international settlements and all these things going on, especially recently with the news that El Salvador is adopting Bitcoin as a legal tender. And now we've got Tanzania and others hinting at doing the same. There's this worldwide economic monetary system and governance system that many people just aren't aware of. Probably more people within the cryptocurrency space than those who are not. And SWIFT is part of that. SWIFT for electronic funds transfer. Need to transfer money overseas? Today, it is easy to walk into a bank and transfer money anywhere around the globe. But how does this happen? Behind most international money and security transfers is the Society for Worldwide Interbank. Sorry, I think I said international. Hey, I'm not perfect. I don't have a perfect memory. Sometimes I get things wrong. Not very often, but it happens. The Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications. Oh man, it wasn't transfers either. It was telecommunications. All right. Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications. The SWIFT system. SWIFT is a vast messaging network used by banks and other financial institutions to quickly, accurately, and securely send and receive information such as money transfer instructions. More than 11,000 SWIFT member institutions sent over 35 million transactions per day through the network in 2020. The organization recorded an average of 42.5 million messages per day on a year-to-date basis in March 2021. Traffic grew by 9.8% compared to the same period of the previous year. In this article, we explore what SWIFT does, how it works, and how it makes money. Society for Worldwide International Financial Interbank Financial Communications, SWIFT, is a member-owned. So they charge a fee for this type of thing, obviously. And if you want to go research this later, just go to investopedia.com or Google how the SWIFT system works, and you can read all about this. This is what Rapid, which is deploying on the Algorand, has deployed on the Algorand blockchain, is going after. This is the market that they're going after. They are creating a bridge between traditional and decentralized finance, expanding access to the next generation of digital products and services, going after SWIFT. This is good stuff. Obviously, they're going to be able to do it much more transparently. They're going to be able to do it in a much faster, more secure, and decentralized way. I think it's good news for Algorand. Okay, friends, thank you so much for your time. I think I'm going to wrap up with that there. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful summer day, June 15th here. The weather outside heating up. Pretty hot the last couple of days where I've been, which has been nice. It's nice, even though I've been doing some stuff for a friend outside to help. And it's been a little bit oppressive at moments. It's still very, very beautiful. I hope that your week is going phenomenally well and continues to. Appreciate you so much. Have a great day. I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Bye now.